Mr. Houck, why do you think they did it? Why they, I mean, you know, the local police saw this incident. They weren't going to prosecute you. My guess is they probably exercised some common sense and said, you know, this guy's been praying in front of this clinic for 20 years. This guy harassed his son. He did what a dad would do. They chose not to come after you. You volunteered to turn yourself in, and yet they show up at your house, 20 agents, guns drawn, in front of your family, in front of... Why do you think they did it?
Thank you, Congressman Jordan, for the question. I've been thinking about that for many months, and I can only come up with that the intention was to humiliate me, to scare my children, and to instill fear in pro-life America.
Yeah, I think they want to make an example of you, right?
I believe so.
And they told us why they did it. They actually put it in writing. All you got to do is look at the memorandum from the Richmond field office. I mean, you were like front and center. Look at this memorandum. And now, thank goodness they've rescinded it. FBI's rescinded this memorandum. This they call it a domain perspective. I don't know why they can't use just normal terms. So it's a memorandum. They rescinded it because a brave whistleblower came and gave us this information. But if you look at page, I think it's page 4, has this sentence: events in which extremists and radical traditional Catholics will remain, events in which extremists and radical traditional Catholics might have common cause include legislation or judicial decisions in areas such as abortion rights, immigration, affirmative action, LGBTQ protections. So if you're pro-family, pro-life, and you want a border, you're a target, and your family fit all of that. Like you're a pro-life, pro-family Catholic, for goodness sake. They're gonna come after you. Got 7 kids. You're not allowed to have 7 kids today. You know what? We're trying to save the planet. You can't do that in America today, according to these. They made that you were the example, and that is how pervasive this political attitude is at the highest levels of our agencies. And in this case, it was the FBI, so much so they put together a memo and said, we want to put informants and snitches inside the Catholic Church, inside the parish, to go rat out people like Mark Houck and his family. Think that's what was going on here?
I would agree with you 100% that my family was targeted, that I've been on a watch list. I am a Novus Ordo Catholic. I'm not a traditional Latin mass goer, but nonetheless, I embrace our faith and I live it.
They still thought you were radical. They still thought you were radical, right? You may not go to Latin mass, but they thought you were radical. I mean, local police wouldn't investigate, but they were going after this guy because he's pro-life and he's Catholic and he prays. Man, he's got 7, we're coming after him.
Right. Yeah, my children were downrange of many guns, and they screamed through the whole process. The committee should know that they were traumatized, and I proceeded to be shackled and in front of them and chained to a table for 6 hours in the federal building.
And they were wrong because you went in front of a jury, and the jury said no, he didn't do anything wrong. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
They prosecuted this case after the local people said no, we're not going to do it. Federal government says, we're going to make this guy an example. He's an RTC, a radical traditional Catholic, and we're going to come after him. And you did, and you went through the process. God bless you for going through it. But this is what's so scary. And again, we've had a number of whistleblowers come forward and talk about this kind of attitude displayed in this memorandum existing in the Justice Department. And it's as wrong as it gets.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You know, my children, I see it in their face every day. I see it in my wife. Just the fear in their eyes. And certainly they have fear of law enforcement now because the law enforcement guys come after the bad guys, not the good guys.
Yeah,
my children are confounded by that.
Some guy gets in your kid's face, you do what a dad does. That's scary enough. And then they find out, oh, your dad's going to get prosecuted for standing up defending his son. It's wrong, and everyone knows it's wrong, and it needs to stop. And frankly, as I said in my opening statement, I think the only way we can actually begin to stop this is we got to do what legislatures do. You got to look at the money. You got to look at the money. You got to say, look, if an FBI is going to do this kind of stuff to good people like you and your family, they may not be getting the funds that they've got before, and they certainly won't be using funds in certain ways. That's something we have to do. We have an obligation, a constitutional duty to do that, and I know Chairman Johnson is going to be working on that with us to try to make that happen. With that, I yield back.